We got a little breaking news to pass along this morning, and that is that Jennifer Howell, she's a friend of Amber's sister Whitney, is going to testify in some form during the rebuttal case on behalf of Johnny Depp. And it's important because Jennifer Howell maintains that Amber's sister Whitney told her a much different version of what happened in the staircase event. And during Whitney's testimony, you notice, take a listen here, Johnny Depp's team brings up Jennifer Howell, and now it makes a little bit more sense. Take a listen.
You know who Jennifer Howell is, right, Ms. Enriquez?
I do.
She's the founder of the Art of Elysium nonprofit.
She is.
And you worked there for a time, didn't you?
I did.
Around May 2015, you actually moved in with Ms. Howell, right?
May 2015? Yes.
And you moved out of the penthouses because at that point you and your sister were fighting, right?
It was around the time that, he had accused me of leaking stories, and that was the impetus of me leaving.
And you testified earlier, I think, that he had asked you to sign an NDA, right?
At some point.
And that was around the same time that he was concerned you were leaking stories about their wedding to the media?
I believe so.
You and Ms. Howell were close?
We were.
Close enough that you lived with her for around a year?
I don't recall if it was that long.
And you confided in Ms. Howell, right?
About some things, yes. She was my friend.
You called her your chosen sister?
So at the time, you're thinking, wonder where that's going. Well, now we know. Jennifer Howell coming in, and she will apparently tell the jury a different version of the staircase story. Specifically, Jennifer Howell has said that Whitney told her that she was frightened that Amber was the aggressor and that she stepped in because Amber was the aggressor in that scenario. A much different story than she told the jury. Could be very, very significant for Johnny Depp's team because, let's face it, Amber Heard combined with Whitney Heard had some compelling testimony that moved the ball forward in their direction. Let's bring in criminal defense attorney Karen Felicia Nance. She's in San Francisco, California this morning. I wanted to get your reaction first, Karen, on the significance of Jennifer Howell, because a lot of people thought, boy, I listened to Amber's sister Whitney and I kind of believed her. She was good on the stand. Someone like Jennifer Howell, if believable, and she could make a difference.
I agree, Ted. I think it's exciting to see that we're going to have another witness that's going to actually contradict what Whitney said, because she was very credible, and she indicated that she loved Johnny initially and that she was their, quote, marriage counselor. So I think that this is a good opportunity for Johnny's team to present some information that's contrary to what she's testified to. And the groundwork that was laid by Depp's team on cross-examination of Whitney does establish Jennifer Howell as significant. Lived with her, confided with her, and Whitney Heard basically, helped them establish her credibility even before she either walks into the courtroom or is shown via either video deposition or a video Zoom testimony. How significant was that in that cross of Whitney setting up the end game? I think it was really effective, and it makes me wonder why Amber's team, knowing this information, why they wouldn't try to put in some stop blocks ahead of time or prepare the jury and give an explanation from Whitney's perspective that, yes, maybe I did say this to Jennifer, but I either was lying, I was either on cocaine. Knowing that this information's coming out, they could effectively have put up a defense for at least an explanation for Whitney. And the fact that Amber's team knows that this is coming, they should know that this is coming, why they didn't prepare Whitney to address it instead of just being blindsided is interesting to me. I don't know why they wouldn't do that, because that would definitely put the jury in a different perspective if Whitney had provided an explanation as to why she told Jennifer this information if it wasn't true. And so why they didn't do that. Amber's team is a big question that I have.
Well, we'll see how that plays out next week. The other thing we're going to watch play out next week is the potential of Kate Moss coming into the courtroom, or again, making an appearance in some fashion. We don't know if she will or she won't, but the door was definitely opened for her to come in because Amber Heard blurted out Kate Moss as she was recalling that staircase story. Let's listen to that and then talk about Kate Moss's significance.
I don't hesitate, I don't wait, I just in my head instantly think of Kate Moss and the stairs, and I swung at him. In all of my relationship to date with Johnny, I hadn't landed a blow.
Clearly the reaction from Ben Chu and the team, very excited. Ooh, she said Kate Moss. If Kate Moss comes in and says, no, there was never any staircase incident and Johnny never did X, Y, and Z, how effective could that be, Karen?
I think it would be very effective because right now we only have Amber's story and some of Whitney's, but in terms of someone that's had an intimate relationship, we have Ellen Barkin. So at this point, the jury hears Ellen Barkin saying, yes, that he was always drunk, he was violent and throwing this bottle, and Amber's testimony, of course. So now we have someone else who's on that level, right, who's also an actress that's had a relationship, a physical relationship with Johnny, who's going to say something hopefully totally different from what we've heard from Ellen, whose relationship was a lot in the early mid-90s, whereas Kate Moss's relationship with Johnny, I believe, was more recent. So I think that it gives the jury some more reasonable doubt in this whole situation because now we've heard from another individual who's been intimate with Johnny as well, who's very favored in the public eye.
What about Johnny Depp? Does he make a return in the rebuttal or leave well enough alone and not risk putting him back on the stand?
Well, my understanding is that Amber's team is considering bringing him back on the stand. And I think that would be a big mistake. I think that he came across as very credible, very believable, and just even on cross-examination, and actually very entertaining. And so I don't see how it could benefit Amber's team to bring him back on. He's going to address the same any questions that they have or confrontations they have. I believe he would address it the same way he did on cross-examination. So I think that Johnny Depp's team would have to weigh whether or not they would call him as a rebuttal witness after if Amber's team decides to call him. I think that the jury would love to see him again on the witness stand. I think that he would just maintain the same decorum that he has in humor, and I think he's been consistent throughout.
Sum it up for us. We're nearing the end of Amber Heard's case in chief. They're expected to rest on Monday. It was a good week for them, was it not?
I believe that it was a good week. We had some points where Amber's team didn't score very well, and that's when she just walked off the witness stand. The judge told her to return to the table with her attorney. She didn't do that. I think that this was the strongest week that she did have in terms of the presentation of her evidence by the witnesses, even though most of them were on video, which I do think for the jury, they'd rather see people in person. But I think that at this point, she does have a strongest case in terms of this week's presentation, but it'll depend on how they move forward with whether or not they cross-examine Johnny Depp or not, and how effective their closing argument's going to be.
All right. Well, let's get a break in here. We'll talk about more about what is coming next week as Johnny Depp's team has an opportunity for a rebuttal case, that much more when we return.